Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and we are here for round 3 of the ARC Super GT series. I'm joined in the commentary booth by...
Miss Savaloy, how are you doing there, Lado?
I'm doing quite good myself. It is quite a beautiful Sunday. We got some good racing here on Sainte-Croix, almost now the home of ARC. We've had some excellent races here in the past, so hopefully we can repeat our previous form. And once again, now that we're back on streaming on my computer, we do have another track guide from you, if you're okay with us watching that.
I hope so.
Alright, so let's switch to the track guide while we get some of these... why is the word escaping me? Test starts out of the way.
Yes, that's the thing. The circuit de Sainte-Croix is host to the penultimate round of the ARC Super Formula Series. This is a monster track, just shy of 5.9 miles, 21 turns in all. The first race will be 15 laps long. The second race will be a 15-minute shootout. Very wide track, lots of third gear corners, multiple 90-degree corners, and plenty of opportunity to use your overtake boost on this track. So this is a guided lap around this 5.9 mile racetrack with me, my Savaloy, and you can see how incredibly wide this track really is. So of course, the start finish line we go. Could be breaking about in between the 150 meter boards, fifth gear around Arnaud. Don't want to shortcut back corner, otherwise you will pick up quite a hefty penalty. Now onto one of the many straightaways, turn 2, La Valette, braking again in between 150 meter boards for third gear surfs, up to fourth, and then back down to third for turn 4, Del Cruz. Now again a little short straightaway before we turn left there, rocking La Casbah, and then going into turn 6, Rocher 1, third gear, 90 miles an hour, back on the power, up to fourth, back down to third for Rocher 2. Now you're going to be on a little short straightaway, slightly downhill, so you will pick up a bit more speed and you get yourself prepared. Braking again in between the 150 meter boards for Jacquard, third gear, back on the power, fourth into fifth. This is Jura, and then you're going to be in fifth before going down to fourth for Sanga, about 115 in entrance. So now we're going into sixth gear for Mounon. It's a tight right-hander, but you can take it flat out. Little bumpy on the exit, let the car swing out wide, and then have yourself a little break as we're on to the Francis straightaway. This is when the car will reach the top speed of about 187 miles an hour, 192 if you want to use your overtake. Break down into fifth, into Levant. It's a tricky corner, very easy to make a mistake. Back into sixth, and then we're breaking down into second gear for Cupra Rouge, 65 miles an hour. Getting the car a little loose from the rear. Back into fifth, back down to third now into Bridge. It's a very bumpy corner on the exit, very easy to get the car loose from the rear. So across the bridge we go, back on the power, back into sixth gear, about 170 miles an hour before breaking down into third yet again for the Bouchon chicane. First part's easy, second part is a bit deceitful. The drivers will be very careful not to make any mistake in the second part. Now we're into this long right-hander, Rosier. Again, it's going to hurt that left front tyre like it was at Barcelona last week. Now, this is the momentum part of the track. I want a little bit wide there through the penultimate corner, a Rabler, fourth gear, sometimes fifth if you can take it perfectly, not like me. And now we're going into the final corner, Bellevue, sixth gear, 175, down into fifth, 130, across the start finish line we go, and that is a lap around this beautiful Sainte-Croix.
Alright, well thank you Savaloy for that beautiful video.
my pleasure as always. Do you know something? Before we talk about what's going to happen here, I'm just glad that you're back, so at least there's not going to be any problems like there was last week.
Problems happen, I have to admit. I was out watching some Canadian national karting, watched some Canadian national champions be crowned. So, sorry I wasn't here for that, but it was still good racing all around to watch that. But now I'm back, and we're here to focus on the ARC. So let's talk about the points for this championship. Currently, our points championship leader is Dan's, currently with 373 points, followed closely actually by PKMZ in second, with Beckham in third. All those drivers are roughly within 10 points of each other, so championship still wide open here. Mermaid in a slightly farther away 4th place, followed by Kev, who is not here today, in 5th, and that covers out your top 5 for this championship right now. And currently, Honda is leading in the Manufacturers Championship with 1,997 points, compared to Toyota's 1,734 points. So I gotta ask you now, this is basically what I would say, we've had a lot of excellent races here at Sainte-Croix, a lot of exciting races, a lot of races that have hurt both of our throats. I don't expect today to be any different, so I gotta ask, what do you expect here today?
Some really good racing. Like you said, the racing, I mean, I commentated on the season 2 race. That was absolutely fantastic. Even though I was racing in season 1, I didn't know what was going up front because I was always at the back. But I think there should be like loads of overtakes. It's going to be interesting to see where they're going to use the overtake buttons in like which part of the track race, because there's so many streets here. So that's also got to be taken into account to this. It's just going to be so good to watch. Like these cars around here, because it's a wide track, anything can happen. I mean, they can go 5 wide if they could, eh? But no, I think this is going to be an excellent race, and I can't call who's going to win this. Cannot call this.
I can't call either, and I think your point about the overtake button with all the long straights is going to be key. Who can use the overtake button, when to use it, whether use it at the start of a straight to try and build that gap on the exit of a corner, or use it towards the end to try and make sure you're carrying a bit more speed through the next corner. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be a lot of interesting and varying strategies we're going to see as well. So today should be a really good race. Let's cover our current qualifying positions. We have Beckham on pole, followed by Dans in 2nd, Nerg in 3rd. I believe it was PKMZ in 4th, with Mermaid Bubble qualifying in 5th place. I'll try to get the accurate positions here. They have just doing a stuck check here momentarily, so some positions are being changed around.
They're all going away now. One thing to clarify though is Nerg is a newbie to this. He didn't race in the first 2 races. But the McGann Trophy Cup champion is in this lobby.
Well, he's always been fast so far, so hopefully we get to see some of that pace again today. These Super Formula cars are not the same as those McGann Trophy Cup cars, and the racing in that was super close, bumper to bumper, door to door. But in this, it's a lot more strategic and thought out. Yeah, there's a bunch of different tire strategies that people are going to employ, different fuel strategies, the strategies of the overtake button. So a bit more of a thought-out game, this championship, than a McGann Trophy Cup, but should still be a very fun and interesting watch.
Indeed. Indeed it will. Cannot wait for this. Cannot wait for this race.
I cannot either. Our stuck checks are out of the way now, so we should be starting the race soon enough. We covered the points just momentarily. Not too much else to talk about. I wasn't here last week, though. How was the racing last week? I wasn't able to watch too much of the stream in my off time. Tell me how that went.
Apart from the game crashing on me, it was quite well. Dan's just went off into the distance very early on. He had like a Marc Marquez type of strategy. You know, set your fast laps in the opening laps of the race and just go off into the distance. And he just never looked back there. Dan's took a double win like PK did at Suzuka 2 weeks ago. Dan's just absolutely floored the opposition. Beckham looked like he was trying to cash Dan's in the second race, but you know, like I said a few times, Dan's was too good. I was very surprised to see Law up there. I thought for me I didn't call on driver of the day, but I would have said Law would have been my driver of the day, because we didn't see him in the first stream. That was because he was in the lower half, like the other tier, when we had like 17 people racing. He didn't qualify in the top 10, considering how close that was at Suzuka. But he really shone, and he outbeaten like the drivers that we see week in, week out. The likes of Kev and Taylor Day. He was beating like them. So it was a very impressive showing from Law, and I hope we get to see him up at the front for this race today.
I hope we do too. And some new names, as you mentioned, Laws are here. We have Lanatron, who hasn't normally been a feature of most of our championships. He did have the one race in Season 1 back at when we raced in the Nürburgring. Not too strong of a finish there, but he was very fast in qualifying, so we'll see if he can put some fast laps down and close some of the gaps to the drivers in front of him. But another thing I want to ask you about is Dan's. We saw him win on our Season 2 GR3 Championship here when he drove the Aston Martin here. His teammate Tay the Day, who is not Tay the Day, excuse me, Chill Nom Nom, who is his teammate in that race, also did very well in the Aston Martin. But now in these Super Formula cars, you don't have that different performance values of an Aston Martin having slightly higher top speed than, say, a Porsche. The cars are very even. Do you think that's going to play into it here?
Possibly. I mean, like you said, it's a level playing field. It's just really down to how you attack the track, how you use your overtake buttons is how you pull away from the guys that's like behind you, or you're trying to catch the guy that's ahead of you. Dan's, we know, is very strong around here. He had said he did pick up the win in Season 2. It could play into his advantage that he might win this race in the first one. We'll see. I mean, like with Beckham and maybe Bubble too. Bubble looks quite fast around here. So I could see maybe, no disrespect to the other races, but I could see maybe possibly 5 or 6 people that can win this first race.
I do too. The first race is the longer one. We're getting the call for 1 minute till the actual start of the race, so we should be underway to go here very soon. So let's get some picks while we just can, as we hit the countdown now. Who's your pick to win today?
I'm gonna say Dan's. I think Dan's could win this, like, as the final's just about to show. You call the starting grid, Mr. G.
Let's see here if I can actually get this to view here. Excuse me.
Oh no. Oh no.
Some updates to Streamlabs OBS might have changed a few things here. See if I can actually get these scenes to work here. Excuse me.
Oh no. It's happened from last week. No.
Alright, so let's try and fix this momentarily here. Alright, I'll have you call the race, as you do have the race up here.
Up there. Yep. Okay then. So the lights are on. 2, 1, and we are underway for the first race of 2 of Sainte-Croix. Beckham leads away from Dan's, followed by Nerg, then PK, then Bubble, Taylor Day in 6th, Law and Lanatron. That's your top 8. As they're going through La Villette for the first time. Looking at your screen, still no luck there. Anyway, into Serves for the first time. And then into Del Cruz, and then Rockin' La Casbah for the first time. Beckham still the lead, nearly over a second lead over Dan's. Nerg still in third. Looks like there's not really been any position changes so far in the opening few corners. Clout Air, we haven't talked about him a bit. He's in 9th, Cro-Magnon 10th, and Pim in 11th. But they're all single file through the first sector. Yeah, I'll try and keep going here. And then into Mugnon for the first time. Beckham now extending this lead 2 seconds now. I think Beckham is doing what Dan's did last week at Barcelona, just shoot off into the distance. Now then, onto the long Francis straightaway for the first time. Still Beckham, followed by Dan's. Nerg is tucked up in the slipstream. I think he's using a bit of his overtake boost there too. But he sticks in behind Dan's. In third is Nerg. The rookie in this field, PK 4th, Bubble still in 5th, Taylor Day, Law in 7th, Lanatron 8th. Lanatron had a bit of a moment at the exit of Cupra Rouge, but he still holds on to that 8th place, but he's under now some severe pressure from Clout Air. Cro-Magnon 10th has just lost that 10th place to Pim on bridge. As they go over the bridge then for the first time, Pim and Cro-Magnon had their moments at Suzuka 2 weeks ago. Now back again with the leader Beckham. 1.5 seconds he has now over Dan. So Dan's has gained half a second there. He has used a bit of his overtake boost as Dan's. And they're just through Arabla for the first time there. Beckham looking nice. Dan still looking good through there. Now sort of fell back a bit from Dan's. He's now 3 seconds off the lead. Bubble has now gone into fourth. There's a free-car scrap going on as they're into Bellevue for the first time of 15. And across the start-finish line they go. Bubble holds on to fourth, but he's going to the right-hand side. He's protecting his fourth place from a hard charge and PK, and the Lanatron has gone up to 6. So I didn't see if Taylor Day has made a mistake. Taylor Day using the Minardi livery, Lateral's favourite paint scheme. As I go again, Bubble still holding on to that fourth place, but he's slightly pulling away from PK as they're going into Del Cruz. And Lanatron up to 6th. Law in 7th. Taylor Day 8th. Pim is now up into 9th. He passed Clout somewhere. So Pim, after qualifying dead last, which he didn't know qualifying was on about 15 minutes ago, is starting to make his way up through the field. He's doing well up into 9th place. Now trying to catch Taylor Day in 8th, just 9/10 separating 8th place T to 9th place. Back again with the leaders. They're both Beckham is now kind of consolidating that gap now. 1.7 seconds over Dan's in second, who have pulled away from Nerg. 3 seconds gap between Dan's to Nerg. And they're holding a very tight line when we exit the Francis straightway, getting ready towards the fast 5th gear chicane. Oh, you've got the screen on! Hooray!
There we go. So sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone. Sometimes OBS likes to be a little difficult.
Oh, good.
We are back now. Back onto the race. Only lap 2 of 15 here, so we didn't miss too much. Sorry about that. Like Savoy did an excellent job recapping what you guys couldn't see. Currently Beckham in the lead by 2 seconds over Dan, who has a 3-second lead over Nerg in third, but closely followed behind his Mermaid Bubble, followed by PKMC. Lanatron, there's a battle here for 7th place. It looks like Pim tried to make a move on Law 2 signals and able to move it, and Taylor Day is following closely behind them.
Well, actually, Pim has passed Taylor Day, so Pim up to 8th as you go on board with Tate in the favourite livery, like I said.
You do as they head towards Arable in this 3-car battle. Very difficult here. Him not getting the best line through there. Dirty air from the car in front. Giving him the downforce and move to Taylor Day. It was all over the back of him now, but not quite close enough.
I think Tate was using a bit of his overtake button to try and get by him when he made that little moment through Arable. Still 3 hours for that 7th place, leading by the impressive Law from last week.
Further up the field, you have Lanatron, who's close up to the back of PKMC here. Might possibly think he will move here through sector 2 and 3, the more tighter technical sections. On board, look back behind PKMC. You see Lanatron up to this tighter section. Very wide line on the exit there from Lanatron. That's going to cost him a lot of time. But then trying to do his best to try and keep up, but he cannot. Continue to fall back to the field, possibly into the clutches of Law, Pim, and Taylor Day.
Lanatron looking a bit racy so far, qualified 8th, already up to 6th. So Lanatron, I don't think we see him in the first race, did we? He didn't race last week. We didn't see him in the street in the first race. So Lanatron looking very good so far.
Yes, but there's still this close battle back for 7th place as we see Taylor Day getting very racy, going a little bit wide on the exit of the corner, getting a tire offline. That's going to cause him to lose control of the car. That's going to put him out of that battle for 7th place.
He just looks like he understeered there for Sanga, wouldn't he? Yeah.
He's a little bit too wide on the exit, gets back on the throttle, the rear end kicks out. But now he falls in the clutches of Clouds here. But there's still that battle for 7th place here as Pim looks at the inside of Law. It seems to get a good position here, but he might lose it there. Gets a little bit too early on the throttle, spins the rear of the car. Law still flanking all over the back of him here. Not quite able to find a way through as they go onto the bridge.
Yeah, good solid move there from Pim, passing Law at the Rouge. Yeah, Pim's on a bit of a charge. Started last and up to 7th place, so watch out for Pim. It could be a dark horse for a strong finish here.
So it looks like Law has made a couple of mistakes here, falling off the back of Pim a little bit there. So this is the field starts to even out here. We still have Beckham in the lead, a solid lead of 2.4 seconds, almost 2.5 ahead of Dan's championship leader currently in second place, with Nerg in third, Mermaid Bubble in fourth, PKMG in fifth, Lanatron in sixth, Pim in seventh, Law in eighth, Save the Day in ninth, Clout Tear in 10th, with Pro Magna rounding out the grid in 11th place.
Sorry, I forgot to do this before the race even started. That was when your screen was blacked up. I forgot to write down the tyre choices the races have started on. So I'll come back to you in a minute here, Adam.
Well, we can just do it here live on stream. Currently, we have Beckham on the softs. Our Dan's on the softs. We have Nerg on the softs.
Yes. Yeah.
Mermaid softs. PKMZ is on the mediums.
I think, to my knowledge, I think he's the only one that's on mediums.
I think he is too. I don't see any other drivers on anything other than the softs. Everyone else has started this race on the softs, but they're going to have to make another stop. A lot of those tires are looking quite dead, so they will have to make some pit stops quite soon. They're going to lose a lot of time. But PKMZ, as long as he can watch his fuel load, should be able to stay out for a little bit extra of a stint.
Just looking at Clout's tyres, the front are looking about 75. Yeah, he's making mistakes left, right, and centre as Clout now. He has to make a pit stop. His front tyres are gone. They have completely fallen off the cliff. Don't forget, this is on times. And so too has Pro Magna. He made the same mistake what Clout did through the Rocher corners. So I think in Pro Magna and Clout will have to make pit stops because their front tyres are completely dead.
So they're going to be making a pit stop here on roughly lap 5 of 15. Again, only 15 laps here, but the laps are roughly 2 minutes and 30 seconds long. So quite a long lap here, even in these very fast Super Formula cars. But Beckham still seems to be extending his lead over Dan's. But that lead could come down after the pit stops are made. How much fuel the cars have used, how much the strategy of the driver will play into everything. It looks like Beckham made a bit of a mistake through that chicane, though. He lost quite a bit of time. Yes, he has. Almost half a second worth.
Yeah, I think that was also what I talked about on the guided tour. That second part of the Bouchon chicane is a very deceitful one because it's tighter in the middle to exit. So you have to be very careful there, not to, because if you make a mistake, you'll be tasting that barrier right there.
Oh, as I see on the mini-map, there's been some mistake from Tay the Day. Actually, 2 drivers have been involved in that.
Oh, Lanatron's also gone off too.
So what has happened here? Oh, both drivers seem to have made a mistake at the same corner. The understeer of the tire wear seems to have cost both drivers.
Oh, that's a disaster there for Lanatron. Pim got by fine. And yeah, so it looks like Lana and Tay the Day both made a mistake at the second part of the Bouchon chicane.
Let's see if we can get a replay of what happened to Lanatron specifically. I think this is after the incident.
Yeah, this is after. That's after.
Okay. Well, we weren't quite able to see what happened, but we saw what happened to Tay the Day.
I see the replay of it. I see the replay. He made that mistake, and Pim's in the pits, but he made the mistake in the second part of the Bouchon chicane. He tasted the barrier. Like I said a few seconds ago, when Beckham made that mistake too. And Cloudtair is in the pits, as I predicted. Pro Magna should also come in. Pim's actually gone out, and he is staying on the soft tyres. Okay.
I guess most people thinking a 2-stop strategy or a 3-stint strategy with softs all the way would be an interesting strategy. No, Cloudtair's on the hards.
They can't do softs all the way because don't forget they have to change tires. Mm-hmm. So they can't do softs.
It's true. So, Cloudtair comes out on the hard tire. Pro Magna comes out on the medium tire. So Cloudtair is looking to go to the end on this set of tires. We'll see what
Pro Magna's on the mediums, you said, yes.
So we'll see what the rest of this field does. PKMZ will be interesting to see what he does. Whether he wants to extend his medium stint and go on to the soft for the end of the race push, or pit a little bit earlier, maybe once again, and go to the hards on the end.
I think we've got ourselves a 3-car battle for 3rd place. Bubble has passed now. PK's having a look to the inside and takes that 4th place away from now as they go through the Cobra Rouge. So Bubble has passed now, and so too has PK. So now lost 2 spots.
You're definitely starting to feel the struggle of the tire, whereas PK would be feeling quite comfortable in his mediums up until this point. But Mermaid Bubble might actually start to fall to the clutches of PK due to that tire wear. Pit stops will have to be coming up soon, so let's see what happens here as this battle develops on track. yeah, PK closing up through the Bouchon chicane there. You can definitely see the difference in tire wear.
Look at the gap though between Bubble and Dan's. 10 seconds. That's like 2 seconds a lap. Dan's is faster than this battle for third. That's scary.
It is.
Oh, look at PK getting a great run there. Did you see that? Getting a run off the Rabla.
Yeah, Mermaid Bubble definitely starting to struggle on those very worn softs. A pit stop will have to be made this lap, or he will continue to lose time. PK could go for another lap or two. It looks like Mermaid Bubble go PK. No, just getting the toe off the car in front.
I thought he juked.
Just getting a toe off the car in front. But also Dan makes a pit stop.
Yeah, he's been in the pits for a bit now, so I'm going to keep an eye on what tyres he's going to. He is going to
softs.
Stay on softs. He stays on softs.
So he's pushing
T's
hard.
Also in.
Pushing hard through the first stint, and we would expect mediums in the last stint.
Megatron's also in the pits. Bubbles changed to mediums. Sorry, we're cutting each other off here.
I was trying to say, Pim has actually elevated himself to 4th place after making his pit stop. He has gained a lot of time by going for the undercut.
He has though, but don't forget though, Bubble and Nerg and that have got the fresher tyres, so they will catch Pim in at least a couple of laps or so. Nerg is still on the soft tyres, and I think Bubble has changed to mediums. Take the Day's also changed to the mediums. I think Raw also pitted too. He's also on mediums as well.
We'll see what happens here as this battle for 4th place starts to develop, where the Nerg will move up to the back of Mermaid Bubble, the dirty air, or they catch up to Pim on his extra lap of worn softs. See what can develop here as they head through Yakard and head through Yura now. The double left-hander, with the Yura being a right-hander, the left-hander, that widens out, then cuts back into Sange, and then we have Munoz right before the Francis straight. Nerg seems to have closed up a little bit in the last few corners, definitely using a little bit more downforce of his car, and almost all of the back of Mermaid Bubble now on the Francis straight.
No, he's going for it. That's going to be a brave pass. He's going to do it through there. That's a fast 15 corner. But no, he just sticks it behind. He's better off it there.
Back behind Mermaid Bubble now as they head through Corbert Rouge, right before the bridge corners. This battle continues to develop, but back at the front of the field we have Beckham still currently in the lead, 12.8 seconds over PKMZ in second. Both these drivers have yet to pit.
Yeah, in fact Beckham will have to pit now because his fuel is flashing red, but he has lost at least 2 seconds on PK on this lap, and that's because of the tyres.
Doing his best to try and hold this stint long. So let's see what happens here. Let's see what tires he goes to and how much time he will lose making this pit stop.
I'm going to look at Dan's here because I think the gap is about 3 seconds between Beckham and Dan's when Dan's first make pit stop. Dan's has gone through Bellevue now, so this is going to be very tight. I wonder if Dan's is actually undercutting Beckham and will provisionally take the race lead. I think he has.
He has. I think Beckham is going for a longer stint here. No, he's going on the soft. He took a lot of fuel. He took a little bit extra fuel that pit stop, so he might try to take a little bit less on the next. So a lot of varying strategies here as the race at Sainte-Croix continues. We're looking farther back in the field. The battle between Nerg and Mermaid Bubble still continues. And it looks like Pim has actually managed to break away from both those drivers. Actually, great job from Pim so far to elevate himself to 4th place.
Having a solid race so far, this Pim, even though he was confused. He didn't know, Nerg went a little wide through serves and Delcros, but still no harm, no foul. But yeah, Pim is, even though he didn't know qualifying was on like 20 minutes ago, he's having a stunning race.
He is. He's already elevated himself to 4th place over starting last place and 11th, and the gap actually seems to be maintaining to Beckham in front of him.
Sorry, I seen Nerg a bit ghosty through the Rocher corners. I don't know if anything happened to him. Nope, he's alright, he's all good.
A little bit farther back in the field for the battle for 7th, we have Tay the Day. Right behind him, we have Law in 8th, and Atlanatron behind them in 9th. So a bit of a scrap going on here for that 7th place.
And also, Tay the Day's been, he's feeling it. I don't know if I could say under the weather, but he was drinking a lot last night. Oh, he's gone wide again through Sanger. That's where he did a few laps ago. But yeah, Tay the Day feeling a little bit hungover, so I think he's definitely struggling here today. As I say, don't drink and drive, kids. Don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive, but these race car drivers don't necessarily always follow the rules here. As Lanatron closes right up to the back of Law here. Towards the end of the Francis Straight, Law will go defensive through this corner. That's going to compromise his exit speed. Lanatron will carry a bit more through the switchback. They will hold position momentarily, but Lanatron still looks to the inside here as they go through Corbert Rouge, but they will still maintain position.
He's going to be making his pit stop now as he's going through Bellevue. I should look for the battle still for Ave between who's that in Ave again? I forget.
Lanatron. Long Lanatron.
Sorry. And PK does go into pit lane. He's only got 2% of fuel left in his car. I'm wondering if PK doesn't need to add fuel in this next pit stop here. He might go all the way here with this full tank.
If he switches to the hard compound tire and goes for just enough fuel as he can, he should be able to get to the end, but he's already dropped to 4th place. It would be an unwinnable situation for him to stand. He doesn't stand very long, so he goes for half sauce with a half a tank of fuel. So he's going to be racy here towards the end of the race. Let's see if the strategy will work out for him. He might have stayed out a little bit too long in those tires, but he comes out right in front of Mermaid Bubble in Nerd.
Right, so oh no, he's actually got to halfway on fuel, so he's going to be adding more juice when he makes his last pit stop. So he comes out in 4th, and he will catch up with Pim quite fast, because Pim will have at least, like, what, 2-3 spare laps in him, I think, something like that. Look here. What did he pit? Oh, Pim pitted on lap 4.
The pit stop should be coming up soon for him here as he did come out on the softs, so they would be quite worn at this point. So either he switched to mediums or hard for that last stint would be in the books for him. We'll see how that ends up, as there's still a bit of a scrap here for that 8th place between Lanatron and Law. Even once again for that 5th place between Mermaid Bubble and Nurg, another PK is pulled away from both of them. Dan is currently your leader with 4 seconds over Beckham, after Beckham, in my opinion, stayed out a little bit too long in his tires and lost too much time. Pim currently in 3rd place though, so Pim has actually has already worked his way up. And now at the halfway point to a podium position.
Yeah, solid effort from Pim's, but he will have to pit sometime soon. He was one of the first guys to pit. Just like I said, he pitted in on lap 4. So let's see how much fuel he's got. He's down to about 25% left in his fuel, but he is being caught fast by PK on those fresh soft tyres as he just kisses the wall at bridge.
He has wide of an entry as he can to carry just as much speed as he can. PKMZ closing exponentially at this rate. Let's go on board with him as we watch this battle develop for 3rd place here. See if Pim will dive into the pit lanes to try and make as early of a stop and lose as little time as he can, or will he try to battle PKMZ with his fresher tires? See as I round the penultimate corner and head towards the final one, Bellevue. It leads on to start and finish straight. The gap 1.2 seconds. It has closed significantly in the past corners. What will be that Pim will stay out. There will be another lap in the books for Pim here. That might put him into the clutches of PKMZ.
Behind them, it's still not in that slipstream of Bubble for 5th place. I thought it would have been Bubble. Pretty much shortcutted that first corner on there. He had all 4 tyres off the track and went had it on the green part of the first corner. So he didn't even pick up a penalty for that. So I'm wondering if that's a thing, a new racing line there for the drivers to put all 4 wheels off on the R&O.
It might be these drivers trying to find as much of an advantage as they can, as long as they'll get slapped on the wrist.
Look at PK.
Half a second separates Pim and PK. PK with the superior tires, Pim with the lighter car. Halfway around the track we are now. 2 more corners and a long straight. Both drivers have longs. Both drivers make a mistake!
Oh!
Both of them make a mistake at the exit of Sangay.
That's actually quite pivotal because Pim has picked up front and left the wheel damage, whereas PK didn't, and he just breezes by Pim.
Pim will, I'd expect, to be using that overtake button to try and close that gap as much as he can.
Which he has done.
better of it, and PK will take third place from him. But that mistake from him might actually put him in the clutches of the mermaid bubble here. Actually, I was going to say seem to be closing a bit, but I think the gap has opened up a bit now that the damage has resolved.
Now. The damage has been resolved now, yes it has. But yeah, Bubba's catching 1.5.
Yes. Bubba's catching exponentially. Those tires are starting to hurt Pim now.
And Pim's flashing red on his fuel gauge, so he will pit possibly this time by. I wonder if Pim will go to the medium tires and go the distance. An option.
It might be the option he chooses to go for, but only time will tell what he decides when he makes his pit stop. Mermaid Bubble did an excellent job to pull away from Nurg. Actually, the gap between Mermaid Bubble and Nurg is now 6 seconds, so I don't know if Nurg made a mistake at some point along the line or Mermaid Bubble just found the pace. But he's currently catching Pim at a very fast rate here. 1 second separates them now, but we expect Pim to make his pit stop, and he will.
Okay, so Pim's the first to make his second pit stop. So Bubble will go into fourth, Nurg will go into fifth. Possibly come out maybe ahead of Taylor D. I don't know, like Taylor's just approaching Bellevue. Let's see. Taylor's past him. So I wonder if he come on maybe 8th or 9th, probably the battle between Law and Lamatron. Him will come out. That's a long bit of fuel there. That's a long bit of fuel to go in the car. He's gone all the way. He's put a full tank of fuel in that car. Didn't need to do that really, probably halfway, and then it would have come out a lot more quicker.
One would expect, yeah. I think putting 95% fuel in that car might have been a bit of a mistake from him. I think he might have been able to make it on roughly 60-70%, but I'm not sure. There might have been an issue of him not having faith in himself to make that fuel savings here. He already got passed by almost 2 cars when he pulled in the pit. I think he extended his stint just a little bit long, but he might be trying to pit on fuel and not tires. But actually, back at the front of the field, we have Dance and Beckham actually starting to close back up. It's only 1.5 seconds separating them now. So there might be a battle for the lead about to happen.
Oh yeah, yes, definitely. Now Dan's, don't forget, Dan's pitted a lap, I think it was lap or 2 over Beckham. So Dan's will have the Warner tyres over them, Beckham. Just looking at Crow Magna, he's in the pit lane. Putting on another full set. And he's actually had some front end damage. He stays on the mediums, we'll solid that. But back to the battle, and I'm going to have a look here. Dan's will be making his pit stop now. He's flashing red. Beckham's down about 25% left in his fuel. So Dan's will be pitting this time by.
It will be down to a race at the line. It will be between tires and who has the lighter car, who will be able to make it. PKMZ still in third by 14 seconds. He went onto the stop, so he will need to make another stop. Mermaid Bubble also went onto the mediums, but he's also flashing red, so a stop will be in the books for him soon. Nurg should be joining him as well.
Do you know what this? Yes, and I was just going to say this. Dan's in the pits and so too is Beckham. Beckham saved a bit more fuel than Dan's. So Beckham doesn't need to put in more fuel than Dan's will. So Beckham realistically should come out as the leader. I was just about to say, if Beckham would come in the same lap as Dan's in the pits, Beckham would take the lead. If he'd stayed out another lap, Dan's would have had the lead.
Let's see what tires they go to. I would expect the mediums with 5 laps left. Yes, they both come on the mediums, but Dan's actually stays ahead of Mermaid Bubble. Or Beckham.
Wow.
So Beckham taking that extra fuel to make sure he gets it to the end.
He missed the trick. Beckham missed the trick. He's about 85% in his fuel tank. How much has Dan's got? Dan's has got superiorly less than that. So Beckham, he didn't need to put that much fuel in. He would just come out in the lead ahead of Dan's. Beckham's missed the trick.
One might seem to be a mistake from Beckham, but Dan's might also try to do a bit of fuel saving to the end, and that might be what Beckham is betting on here. So we'll see if Beckham can push flat out to the end, but Dan's might have to lift off towards the end of the stint. Currently, PKMZ is your leader, but he will have to make another stop as his soft tires will come to the end of their life momentarily, or he'll have to pit on fuel, As currently Law, currently in 4th place after having to make another pit stop in the books for him. Lanatron currently a foot behind him, followed by Pim, now in 6th place.
Oh, Pim getting a little loose off the exit of Roche too, but he is getting closer to the back of Lanatron unless they don't through Jacquard.
Both the drivers in front of him are on more medium tires. Pim is out on the third again to the heat of his second stint, or his final stint, I should say.
Lanatron is flashing though. He's going to have to save a bit of fuel. Pim goes to the inside of Muno and takes that 5th place away.
Excellent pass from Pim. Textbook pass here, and he sets his sights on Law in front of him now. But looking at the gap between PKMZ and Dance back at the front of the pack, PKMZ has already lost 2 seconds to Dance. In half a lap, he has lost 2 seconds to the man behind him. And these pit stops take a good amount of time. It's a little bit over 10, 12 seconds, I believe, these pit stop times.
About that, about 10, 15 seconds-ish.
And PK has a gap of 8.4. He's losing a lot of time here trying to stay on track. I think if he had pitted that last lap and used a little bit more of his fuel, even though his tires are good to go, I think that would have been the better idea.
He's coming into pit lane this time by. He's nearly out of fuel, actually. He nearly did a Ruby. As you can see, there only 2% left. So if he doesn't add that much fuel as Beckham, he might come out just ahead. Maybe. Well, no. It'll be a clear-cut 3rd place. There's a massive gap between Beckham and Law. 35 seconds. So PK's going to come out 3rd no matter what here.
Let's see just how much fuel he puts into his car.
It shouldn't be that much.
Quite a bit. He'll come out 70% fuel.
And he's back on these soft tires. He stayed on no softs, I mean.
So one thing I want to look at is both PKMZ and Beckham put more fuel in the car than we expect them to use. But that would mean that Dan's under fueled. So that means Dan's expecting to fuel save. Which, when you're fighting for the lead, I wouldn't say is a smart strategy.
Well,
in fact, you might already be starting to see it. And just in that straightaway alone, the gap has closed 2/10.
That was because Beckham used a bit of his overtake. He's down to about 50% as Beckham. But notice, looking at the fuel, Dan's is about roughly 50% left in his fuel tank, whereas Beckham is around about 70%. So you could be right on Beckham expecting Dan's to be fuel saving. The gap's now increased up to 1.5 seconds.
So Dan's finding time in the last few corners there, while Beckham gained time in the corners before that. Let's keep an eye on this battle as it develops. So back at the 4th place, we currently have Pim, who's retaken that 4th place. He's low on his overtake, almost 0 left on his overtake, but he's on the last stint with Mermaid Bubble behind him on the soft tires. So there might actually be a battle for 4th place here.
And he's catching him. We know that the soft tires are the faster ones, but they do wear a lot. Looking at Pim's flashing red, so he doesn't have a lot of overtake boost left in his car.
1.2 seconds separate them now as they exit the Francis Strait and head towards Corbeil Rouge. Let's see if Mermaid Bubble's superior tires will give him the advantage he needs through these tighter corners. Now to bridge. Oh, Pim has made a mistake! Pim has made a mistake!
Bridge.
And it looks like Mermaid Bubble actually managed to find a way by. He goes wide at the exit of bridge. That's going to cost him time, and Mermaid Bubble will elevate himself to 4th place.
Luckily, though, no damage done to Pim's car. So, Pim, very lucky to get away with hardly no damage at all. But he has lost that 4th place as a result of that moment at bridge.
He has the back of the front of the pack. The gap is now down to under a second. 8-10 separate Dan's and Beckham. Beckham has more fuel, so he has a heavier car. That means Dan's might actually have to fuel save towards the end of the race. Almost just 2 laps.
Through surfs, they're sorry to cut you off there, but Dan's a little loose through surfs into Delcros and then into La Casbah. Looking back at the points leader, the race leader too. Beckham's looking hungry.
As they head through Roche 2, the gap widens to just over 1.1, so Dan's has the advantage through this sector, but it seems Beckham has the advantage throughout the rest of the track here.
Beckham is using his overtakes. He's down to about 10% left. He's got to be careful how much or what usage of using the overtake he will have. But he is getting very close.
See The difference in lines there costing Beckham. Dan's managing to find those 2 tenths through that sector. But Beckham managing to close it back up there. The last corner, but now we're on the straight. It's going to come down to who has more overtake button, and it will be Dan's. Dan's, I don't think, has used barely any of his. He's saving it for the end of this race.
Possibly, but looking at Beckham, he's actually used all of it now. So he's he shortcuts through that corner. But Beckham,
there is a penalty.
Yes, there is a penalty.
And that will be the race theoretically over for Beckham unless Dan makes an uncharacteristic mistake. Dan should have this race in the bag.
You took the words out of my mouth there. Yeah, he shortcutted that corner, and then that has effectively cost Beckham the race. And he's out of overtakes as well.
So closing that gap will not be an easy job for Beckham at this point. He's going to have to be betting on Dan saving fuel as PKMZ.
Penalty for Pim, sorry again. Picked up like a second penalty, and he's going to lose that 5th place potentially to Nerg.
Develops here, as I was just going to say, PKMZ was doing an excellent job trying to close the gap.
Pim
once again, another mistake heading onto Bridge Corner, going a little bit too wide and losing a lot of time here. He still has a 10th to serve on his penalty, but he'll fall back behind Nerg.
Still serve that penalty, but that's 2 laps in a row that Pim's done that. It is a very bumpy exit, and I was going to say it was one of the corners I was going to comment on. In the middle of bridge to the exit, it's very bumpy and it's very easy to get the car loose. And Pim's done that 2 laps in a row now, and as a result, he's cost him 2 places.
It has, but now Pim will continue to fall back. Pim, I believe, has used all of his overtake button. Well, Nerg is still great on his halo. So Nerg should be able to hold this position for the rest of the race. But back at the front, Beckham's actually done an excellent job to try and close that gap back to Dan's. It's already 1.5 seconds. So Dan's may have done a bit of fuel saving in the last few laps to try and make sure he makes it to the end of this race. Looking at his fuel, he should be good to go. 2 laps, that should be enough for 25% fuel.
And looking at Beckham's fuel, he's down to about 35%. I think putting more fuel in the car has cost Beckham this race. I really think it has, because he had 17% more fuel than what Dan's had. And he filled it all the way up to 95. If he had 20% less more fuel in that car, he would have been ahead of Dan's.
I have to agree with you here. I think Beckham should have been able to go for the pass in the pit lane, but he decided not to, and for what reason we're not quite sure yet. There is still a lap and a half to go. That reason might still show itself, but only time will tell. Currently the top 5 have all fairly evened out here. Pim doing his best to try to stay in the back of Nerg, but it's not going to be too easy when Nerg has more of his overtake button left than Pim. Today the day, she's currently sitting in a solid 7th place. Atlantatron back in 8th, Law in 9th, Cro-Magnon in 10th, and Cloutzer behind him, running at the back of the grid in 11th.
I must have missed that. Cloutzer has made that pit stop. He's gone to the soft tyres, so that could be a potential battle for 10th place. He's got 2 laps to go.
Back at the front of the field, the closest battle on track. Let's see how this
Beckham's closing.
He is.
Sort of closing a bit. I did see it at 1.2. It's going up again to 1.3.
This will be the last lap now. 1.4 now. Dan's getting a better run of the last corner. Beckham has no overtake. Dan's has almost all of his overtake. So let's see what happens here. Beckham has more fuel than Dan's. Dan's going to have to fuel save, but he's got the overtake. The tires should be at the same amount of light. Who will win this race?
It should be Dan's. Dan's has got pit for overtake. I'm surprised he's not even used it in these last 2 laps, in fairness, on those straightaways. Just to get a bit of comfort behind him and Beckham, because 1.1 is not that much in their GT Sport terms.
It is not, but currently Dan's will also have position advantage over Beckham. It's easier to defend the position than it is to take it, as they now head through Roche 2. 1.4 still a gap. Before the lap done as they cross the sector split. 1.5, 1.6 now the gap. So Dan's faster through a tighter section, but Beckham seems to be faster through more flowing corners. Sange and head towards Munon. The gap 1.6. Beckham makes a mistake. He goes wide in the exit of Sange, and that will cost him a lot of time. They're heading onto the Francis straight. Dan's will be able to use his overtake. He's opened up the gap to 1.5, almost 1.9 now. He will be using that overtake, or not. He's also still not used any of his overtake.
And the gap's coming down again now, 1.4. He's oh, look at the gap coming down in a massive. Look at that. It was like 1.8, 1.1 now.
Dan's is actually almost out of fuel. I don't know if he thinks he can make it to the end. He might actually have to change the fuel setting.
Ooh, and he's about halfway through. Is Dan's gonna do a Ruby?
He might. He's gonna have to use his overtake to try and fight off his lower fuel, but that might actually cause his fuel to drain faster here. This could favor Beckham. That extra time in the pit stop might favor him here. It's now under a second.
Less than a second. This race is just lightened up here, Rattle.
With only a handful of corners left to go, will he be able to close a second in that amount of time, or will Dan's be able to hold on just long enough?
Oh, Dan's is going to be sweating buckets through these last two corners. I have to say, he is running on fumes. The now is Dan's.
This is it. He might run out of fuel right after the last corner. He might have timed it wrong. He's going to have to adjust his fuel settings, do all the short shifting he can. Will he be able to hold on? Beckham's all over him. He actually has a penalty. He has a penalty. He cuts the corner. He's going to finish second place. Beckham will win the first race.
Where did he? Was that at Bellevue? He picked up that 1.5 second penalty.
Let's see if we can get a replay here. I think that was a bit too early. Let's see if we can extend this replay here.
Oh, that was too late, damn. Let's see.
He does. He goes all four wheels onto the curb. All four wheels onto that curb.
And he's out of fuel. And he ran out of fuel across the line too. But that is that's Dan's just drove a flawless race, and he made a mistake in the last corner. Unbelievable scene.
What has happened? What has happened to Pim? Pim has fallen all the way back now behind Landetron into 8th place.
Oh,
he's side by side with Landetron.
There's contact.
There is contact.
Big impact. That was a huge impact with the one with Landetron. That was like a do or die attempt. But Landetron will hold on to that 7th place.
So Pim makes a mistake at the exit of Arable, and then he has the draft on Landetron and chuck it in on the last corner. Late brakes, he touches though. And he has to go off track to avoid it, but he will see the position. He will.
Yeah, Landetron hold on to that 7th place, even though he picked up a lot of damage from that. But yeah, Taylor Day finished in 6th place.
And he did. PKMZ will come home 3rd, Mermaid Bubble 4th, Nerd 5th, Tay the Day 6th, Landetron in 7th, Pim in 8th, Law in 9th, Crow will actually try to hold off Cloudtear. They're the last two pilots on track right now, and there's less than a 10th between them. Who will be the one to finish in the top 10? Let's find out.
There's only 16 seconds left on the timer remaining, so they've got to make this quick. To go through a labyrinth for the last time. Crow versus Cloudtear. Ooh, I thought Cloudtear got
it's going to be 8 seconds. Who's going to be ahead? It seems to be favoring Crow Magner.
It's going to be Crow. Crow's going to hold on for that 10th place.
Great race between the last two drivers on the grid, though. As we see the results there, Beckham will win due to Dan's picking up the 2-second penalty. It will round up as he was not able to serve it on the last corner of the last lap. But congratulations to Beckham for, I would want to say, almost out-strategizing Dan's.
Do you think it was well deserved?
I think so, but we have one more race to go and we'll be back momentarily, so don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, and we are now back for the last race, of round 3 here from Sainte-Croix. Currently, Dan's is still your points leader, but followed closely behind by Beckham with only 3 points separating them, and PKMZ will drop to 3rd place. So let's see how this race turns out. A 15-minute sprint race. Beckham's starting on pole, followed by Dan's, followed by PKMZ. Standing start for this one. No, it's a rolling start, excuse me. Just took a bit of time.
How appropriate that the top 3 of the championship are starting first, second, and third. This could be a slobber knocker here, lateral.
It could be. The lights go on, the lights go out. Beckham seems to get away quite well. Looking back behind Dan's is still looking very racy. The PK's going to be close behind him. Let's go on board through turn 1 with Nerg. As we look at the top 3, it looks like PK is going to be close up to Dan's. He's going to make a mistake through the mid-corner. He's going to fall into the clutches of Mermaid Bubble, who's now going to look up the inside into La Villette. Will he be able to get it? They're going to be side by side, and PK will have the inside for the next quarter. Mermaid going to go for the undercut. He's going to look for it, but now Nerg's going to try and capitalize and get down on this fight. PKMZ will take a slightly wider line. He's going to go wide. He's going to lose 2 positions, maybe even 3. Yes, he's going to lose also position to Tay the Day. It's going to put him back into 6th place. Tay the Day's looking racy behind Nerg. Maybe a slight bump there as he went through Rocher 1 and now through Rocher 2. Is this looking a sprint race here? And Mermaid Bubble currently in the 3rd place. They're gapping out Nerg now in 4th. Is Tay the Day, and 3KMZ tries to hold off Lanatron in 7th place. Looking farther on back in the field, we still see Lanatron trying to hold off Law now for that 7th place. Looking farther back, we have Cro-Magner in 9th. Him is now fighting off Cloud Tear.
Oh, him one ride at Sanga.
Back at the front of the pack, Beckham currently has less than a second of a lead over Dan's. That gap is coming down significantly. Dan's must be using that overtake button. It's already down to 7-10, so Dan's doing what he can, trying to gain as many points here to Beckham. Bubble still holding on that 3rd place. Nerg and 4th. Tay the Day makes a mistake there.
Bubbles got a 1.5 second penalty. What happened to Beckham? Beckham made a huge mistake. He's just lost the lead.
Replay here will show where Bubble picks up the penalty earlier on, but he makes a mistake on the going in. Him and Dan's make contact. But so Bubble makes a mistake through Levant, but Beckham will actually make a mistake, it looks like, going in through Corbet Rouge. He goes extra slowly where Dan's just chucks his car in.
Well, position stays as it is. Beckham still holds on to that lead. I think Dan's probably suggested he made the mistake. It looked like Dan's was coming in very hot through Rouge. So it's status quo as you will.
Mermaid Bubble still in the 3rd, but PKMZ managed to work his way up back before they have Tay the Day and Lanatron now. So PKMZ on the back of Mermaid Bubble for that 3rd place. Tay the Day still in 5th. So far a good strong race for him. Lanatron in 6th. Nerg in 7th. Nerg is actually falling all the way back down to 7th place. Pim managed to elevate himself to 8th place. Pro in 9th. Cloud Tear 11th. And Law has actually fallen all the way back to last place.
So Law must have made a mistake somewhere. So I'm going through a Rabbler. He must have done it before a Rabbler, so my apologies for that.
Currently the gap between the leaders 1.6, but 1.7 to Mermaid Bubble in 3rd. PKMZ in 4th, still half a second behind Mermaid Bubble. Tay the Day still trying to stay on to this fight. On board with PKMZ now as he goes through the twisty bits here at Sainte-Croix. Let's see what happens here. Mermaid Bubble makes a slight mistake on the entry of that corner, goes a little bit too wide, kicks up that runoff dust. Help PKMZ close that gap, but you can't get too close to this section. The dirty air from the car in front reduces your downforce on your front wing, means you can't go as fast through that corner. You can't get too close to here, has to manage that gap so he can set it up for a pass on the Francis Straight. Sangay, but he goes wide to exit Sangay, but he will maintain control. As he goes through Moon, this will be where you want to set up a pass, but he almost goes wide at the exit of Moon. So
Tay the Day's gone well wide through Moon. He took a completely different line. He's struggling to get back on the power, but he took a completely different line through Moon.
See what happens here in Tay the Day. Seems fine through Sangay. Let's see what happens for Moon. Just really wide. He takes too much speed trying to close that gap to PKMZ and gets off in the gravel.
That's a flat-out corner too, so that's a strange one for Tay the Day to do that kind of mistake.
And he has a 1 second penalty now.
Oh, wow, that just makes it even worse. Kicking while he's down, eh?
Salt in the wound. Back at the front of the pack, that's going to be a bit of breathing room for PKMZ now. He doesn't have to worry about the car behind him. Tries to close the gap to Mermaid Bubble in third. Beckham has actually pulled out a gap over Dan. It's almost 2.8 seconds now.
Dan's made some sort of mistake, but Beckham is pretty much doing it again, like what Dan did with Barcelona in the second race. Just pull out to a massive gap and just potentially from there.
Seems like a close battle almost for second now. Mermaid Bubble and PKMZ. All close to Dan's. Lenatron will inherit that 5th place after Tay of the Day's mistake. Nerd now in 6th place as well. Pim up to 7th. Pro Magner has a penalty. Will serve it. Cloud Tail active swerve to avoid him. As Lots will also seem to maybe capitalize on that mistake. And Tay of the Day now back in last place. Beckham still pulling out a gap. 3.1 seconds now. As Dan's actually slowly starts to fall into the clutches of Mermaid Bubble.
I'm wondering if Dan's has lost that momentum or has that first race hurted him after picking up that 1.5 second penalty through the last corner on the last lap.
One might see, but he did just go purple for that first sector, so maybe he's trying to get himself back into that right mindset and get that foot pedal down. As he starts to gap out Dan's, but Beckham, the gap slowly falling, but not quite fast enough as he would like.
PK's gone wide through in between the Roche corners, and he's done that quite a lot, is there, PK? Here comes Lanatron. Tucks into slipstream.
Close enough to make a move. Will PKMZ be able to gap that back out over Lanatron, or Lanatron just constantly reel him in? As they head through Songate, we've seen a lot of incidents here through this corner, and then no. Nice and clean through there. Very minimal mistakes this time around. PKMZ is falling all the way off the Mermaid Bubble. 4 seconds now. PKMZ is now in a battle to try and hold out that 4th place as we see the train of cars that are cresting over the hill in the Francis Strait.
That's a worrying sight for PK to see 3 other cars there. He can't. It's ill afford to make a mistake now, PK, because you could fall down to 7th place now.
He will keep on the lead. On the bridge now, almost very wide through bridge, trying to clip the wall there.
Did he pick up any sort of damage? The gap seems to be closing. It's just slightly.
Not quite enough, but Lanatron and Yuri, Nurg, and Pim now at 7th, also trying to get into this battle. 8 minutes remaining left in this race, almost at halfway distance. Currently Beckham the leader, followed by Dan with Mermaid Bubble in 3rd. PK in 4th, Lanatron in 5th, Nerd in 6th, Pim in 7th, Out Terry Law in 9th, Pro Magner in 10th, with Tay of the Day in 10th, and Pro Magner in 11th.
I wonder if this is going to be a case of another double win, because PK took a double win at Suzuka, Dan's took a double win at Barcelona, and Beckham looks like he could be on course for a double win here at Sainte-Croix.
Could be the way things are going. Pim makes a small mistake at the exit of Bellevue. Will scrape the wall at the exit. That's going to cause him to fall back off the Nerd. He's trying to get up to Lanatron and PKMZ. However, there's not going to be too much passing through this section. The dirty air these cars put off makes it very hard to find that room to get the car in, get the car to grip, and making a pass on the inside. So we start mostly single file through this twisting section, but most of the passes to come out towards the Francis Strait.
Sort of putting away there from the Lamatron in 5th. Looks up. Oh, kicks up a bit of doubt too, does BK. He's got to be a little bit fuming there, BK. What was a really promising start to the championship, picking up those 2 wins, and he's been sort of making mistakes here and there, and it's sort of like uncharacteristic of BK to do that. In particular, these cars are his favourite as well. He was messaging me through in a Discord chat a couple of days ago.
It is a little uncharacteristic for PK to be making mistakes like this. He was never usually the fastest driver when we raced our GR3 Championship Series, but he was always up there and very consistent. He was never made a lot of mistakes. He usually had to wait quite a while for PKMZ to make a mistake. But in this, it's not like it's almost like it's not the same person. Whereas compared to Dan's, and Dan's is just an absolute machine this season.
When it's Dan's never been a machine. I mean, he's the TNA Season 1 champion. He was kind of, he was runner-up in Season 2, and he's, you know, potentially points that he may lose the points lead after this race. Because, like you said at the start there, the gap between Beckham and Dan's in the points is only a slender 3 points. It's 100 points for the win. It's 92 for second. So Beckham will take care of the points lead going into the final round of the championship, and he will have a slender 5-point lead over Dan's.
The gap between the first and second is 3.3. 2.4 separate Dan's and early bubble for second place. The closest battle on track seems to be between Lanatron and PKMZ. Less than half a second separate them now. Lanatron using his overtake button trying to close that gap to PKMZ. He's all over the back of him here. There might be a change for position.
PK didn't use all the racetrack at the exit of Bellevue. He was like parking his car in the middle. Here comes Lanatron to the inside, outside, sorry.
He's going to look to make a move around the outside, but not quite close enough. But he can't stand that close to the back of PKMZ. That dirty air will cost him time and grip. Go for a wider line, set it on, maybe take the inside of the next corner, not quite close enough to do it.
I was just going to say that what was going to be more important was that I didn't see on PK's halo, there was no light flashing at all, but there is green. He's still got plenty of overtakes left there. I got a bit too ahead of myself. Oh, it's one right again for Rocher.
Oh, just a little bit of thing I've noticed here. Pim has actually managed to find a way by ERA Nerd, so Pim is now in the 6th place as he tries to close up to Lanatron and PKMZ.
Pim's doing alright actually, isn't he? He's, you know, he was up to his highest 3rd place and then he'd fallen all the way down to, where did he finish in first place? What, 10th? Something like that, 10th? No, sorry, 9th. Was it 9th?
Around there. 8th,
something like that. And again, he's slowly, methodically working his way up like he did in the first race. And he could be in the clutches of Lanatron, is what he said, but then in the clock, there's only 3 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. There's not enough time left in this race if he can catch it. Oh,
he has to be careful. Yes, he has to be careful there not to go do that too many times, or he's going to pick up more penalties just like he did just now.
He did. 3:10 penalty, so that could rule any chance of a top 5 finish for him, possibly.
As they go onto the bridge now, be careful not to hit too much of that curb as it unsettles the cars we just saw. Still 0.2 seconds of that penalty left to serve. As looking farther up on the field, PKMZ actually started to gap out Lanatron did. 2 seconds now separate them. But back at the front of the field, it's still all split out. Beckham 5 seconds over Dan's, who has 3 seconds over Mermaid, who has 5.5 over PKMZ.
We were talking about him not too long ago picking up a 3:10 penalty. He's just picked up a 1.5 second penalty for shortcutting the first round of short chicane.
One thing I want to show here is a battle for 9th place between Taylor Day and Cloud Cannon. Both drivers, already with 2.5 minutes remaining on the clock, are both in red on their overtake button.
What's the gap between Taylor Day to Law up in 8th?
6 seconds.
I think that's a bit too much, to be fair. Not to sound bad or anything like that, but that 6.3 is a bit of a steep gap to close.
This has been a bit of a recovery drive from Taylor Day after he made that mistake. I believe it was the exit of
Muno.
In the 9th place now, finding a way by both Cloudchair and Crowman here. Most of the field starting to separate and split themselves out. Now tire air starting to come into a bit of a play. Some of the drivers turn around the overtake buttons, a minute and a half left on the clock. This might actually end up being the last lap.
Possibly. I mean, I don't know how many seconds they are into the lap, but it could be potentially the last lap, or the next lap will definitely be the last lap of this race. But it looks like Beckham is going to hold on for a double win, and the 3rd double win out of 3.
So we had 3 winners so far this season, each winner being a double winner. Only time will tell if Beckham will be the next in line to repeat that tradition. Both a minute remaining and almost 5 seconds over Dan's behind him. It seems to be that way as he heads now onto the bridge. Dan's doing an excellent job to hold in the 7th. Great job from Mervyn Bell to get into that podium position. EKMZ doing his best to try and hold off the hard-charging Lanatron behind him, and Pim and Nerd behind them, but the gap has opened up a bit. Law in that 8th place. Tay the Day on a recovery job, currently in 9th. Tear in 10th, and CRubennnn rounding out the back of the grid in 11th place. 30 seconds left on the clock with a few corners left to go. We'll see if Beckham actually going to do another lap.
It's going to be close, you know, with Beckham. I don't know about with Dan. I want to give a shout out as well to Lanatron, on course for his best finish of the season. That'll be his first top 5 of the Super Formula Series.
Rounds the last corner now. 8 seconds, 7 seconds. Let's see.
4, 3. He's going to do the lap by himself. It's just a lap of honour for Beckham. It's pretty much a lap of honour for Beckham as he takes the second win of the season.
Dan's will
cross the line.
In 2nd place, Mervyn Bell will find him in 3rd. PKMZ will cross it in 4th. Lantron in 5th. PM in 6th. Nerd will come across the line in 7th. Law in 8th. Tay the Day in 9th. Tear in 10th. And CRubennnn in 11th. Congratulations to Beckham for being the 3rd winner, 3rd unique winner of this series.
He's still pushing the car, to be fair. He's the only one that's doing this last lap. You don't need to push it, Beckham. You've got the win. But what's more importantly, though, is he will have the championship lead going into the final round of the Super Formula Series.
And what's important about that final round is we don't know where it is. They still have got to announce it.
No, we don't know it as well. So unfortunately, if they don't tell us until, say, Sunday, I won't do a guided lap tour. Well, that's a disaster, isn't it, Lando?
Well, it's going to be up to them to decide where to go. Now, admittedly, Dan's is on the ARC Council, so he might have some ideas as to where it might be.
Is he even using his overtake as Beckham?
That he is. Well, I mean, you have a lap to use it, might as well use it. Wave to the fans, say hello.
You took the words out of my mouth again, wave to the fans. I was just going to say that.
Now, the real question is, will he be able to finish the lap within 1 minute and 15 seconds remaining as he enters the bridge now?
Oh, I forgot about that. I think he should be okay. If he does a sub 230, he should be alright.
Let's see if he can. Will he be able to finish this last lap, or will the time run out?
It's a race against the clock. Can Beckham make it before the clock strikes 0?
Someone knows. I know Kev will be happy somewhere seeing that Red Bull livery on top of the podium for 2 races in a row.
He'll be alright. He'll be alright. He's going through Red Apple. Yeah, he'll be good.
But congratulations to Beckham for winning both races here this weekend here at Sainte-Croix. We'll be back next week for the next track. However, we don't know where it will be. We will be back. Congratulations to Beckham for crossing the line. And there is your finishing results.
He lapped the whole field. What a dominant display. Is that like a Schumacher helmet he's got there? A tribute to Michael Schumacher. It looks like it, isn't it?
I think it might be Sebastian. It might be Sebastian Vettel, actually.
Oh, well, possibly, yeah.
All right. Well, that will be all for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. We will be back next Sunday for the final round of the Super Formula Series at an undisclosed track. However, we will be here at the same time. Once again, I was joined in the commentary booth by
Savoy, and thank God this has only been 1 video instead of 2.
Well, hopefully things will continue to smooth each other out now that we have a lot of this stuff figured out. But so, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button here on our YouTube channel. Give us a like, comment, do everything you can to try and grow this community. We thank you for joining us, and ladies and gentlemen, keep racing.